Yep.
I'm not going to be able to live. I mean, I'll live out of a shoebox for 1907, like a tent.
Yeah, the bank's there to make money, not save your money.
Yeah, they say they want to help you with retirement and all this, and sure they do. Oh, that's you and your wife. You just trying to be fucking kiss ass. All right.
Hey, man.
I'm not buying any.
Somehow.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. I'm not buying any of that, but I understand the effort. Yeah, there's so many great shirts. When I was home, I was like, I got to get you on that hat. I got to get you on that shirt. I didn't want us to get into a rhythm of having to get the other dude something when you're on vacation. It's bad enough we got to do that for the wives and kids and shit, right? At least for your case with kids. Like, I'm like, nope, not starting that fucking thing. Now, on that note, though, I'm back, obviously. I'm back from the road, had some interview there, got to see the family. I'm back, man.
You went to the proverbial homeland.
Yes, I was back in the motherland there. So probably by the time you hear this, that episode will most likely have come out.
Probably,
I had a chance to interview a couple great guys back there. You'll notice it was a little different because John wasn't there, but that's okay. But
he missed me.
I did miss you. Yeah, we were talking about it in the pre-roll. I'm glad it's not on a recording, but I did bring back just one thing for you from the motherland, man. Macintosh's original toffee. It's world famous toffee.
Ooh.
Now here's what you need to know, okay?
Okay.
What you got to do, man, is you got to freeze that, and when you want a little piece, take it out, smack that thing on the counter, break it to a few little pieces, and pick one that you think is the appropriate size. Don't try to pull it off soft like this. You'll end up either pulling out a cavity, a tooth, a filling, fucking something. Don't do it.
You'll break your shit.
Yeah, you'll be going to the dentist. Don't do it, man.
Okay.
But put her in the freezer, give it a whack. It is a sugar rush, but it's pretty tasty stuff. So
Wow.
It was the
the
most Nova Scotian thing I could think of to bring you back, other than like saltwater taffy, and nobody really likes that. Anybody telling themselves any different's lying.
I love saltwater taffy.
Do you really?
Oh, fuck, I love the shit out of it.
Oh man, I could have probably saltwater taffy. Well, I'll know for the next time. After I just said we'd not bring each other gifts, and what I do, I bring a fucking gift.
Yeah, usually it's birthdays.
Yeah, so I get back, man, and I'm happy to be back. It was fun to be on the road. It was good to see my family, but I get back, and the first thing I notice is I've been gone 10 days, not even 8 days, and my yard looked like shit.
Yeah.
Man, I fucking mowed the thing, whippersnipped. I did the hedges before I left. It was looking like $1 million. I get back. It's all long grass. The hedges still look okay. Somehow, my yard is full of dandelions now. I don't know how that happened. And it doesn't help that, as we talked before, my neighbors' yards, I got 2 retirees on either side of them. One of them's actually a retired electrician, good guy next door to me here. But they got nothing but time.
Right.
Their yards look fantastic. They look like AstroTurf. They're green. They both
really
got they got nice watering systems. They can take out all the time they want to pull weeds. It pisses me off to no end. But regardless of how jealous I am, I was thinking maybe, man, that it reminded me of something that we haven't brought up yet and would be probably a good talk for a quick episode here. Retirement.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I look at the benefits they're getting of being retired and being retired comfortably. They get nice homes, nice neighborhood, all the time in the world to do what they want. Now, I would do probably a little more riding, a little more golfing than working on my yard, but to each their own.
Right.
We know it's an important thing for people in construction, buddy. Are you ready for retirement?
Oh, God, no, I'm not ready for retirement. I'm hoping I can pull the pin and toss the grenade at like 55.
Right. So let's give people a realistic thing as we're talking here so they know where the point we're at. I'm 45 years old.
Yep.
John?
I'm 43.
43. Okay. So we're not over the hill, kids, but we're at the point where we got to start thinking about these things. And you say you're not ready to go.
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not. I think there's a lot of things. You know what scares me the most? Honestly, what scares me the most is the 11-month hiccup that we have as construction workers, where we retire and then we make it 11 months and we're in the fucking ground.
It does concern me too. We've brought that up briefly before. We have to plan on going a little earlier than the average office worker will, simply because through whatever the reasons are, and we'll talk about some here as we go, we put our bodies through a little bit more of hell. Any construction worker listening and person who's even not a construction worker, we ignore our health. So if you're married to one or dating one or you got one in the family, they're not going to the doctor like they should. They're not going to the dentist like they should.
Oh, God, no.
And the ones who are, good for you. It ain't most of us.
No.
We're mostly neglecting our health, which is why, as you say, it's that 11-month thing.
Yep.
So this will be nothing that you haven't heard before, probably from a few different people. But John and I want to take a chance, since you're listening, to remind you of the importance of this and just to talk about a little bit of facts and figures and statistics and plans of ways to retire at a reasonable time.
Right.
What do you think? You just said you're 43. When do you want to retire, buddy?
I want to pull the pin at 55.
You want to pull pin at 55. Okay.
Yep.
So yeah.
And it's not even pulling the pin at 55 and like fully retirement, right? I can totally see myself just retiring from the trades, I'll go be a fucking greeter at Walmart. I don't care.
Something past the time, right?
Something to keep me busy enough, but not destroy my body any further than what it is.
Right. There's the old joke, the number one killer of old people is retirement, right?
Right.
Even my uncle, and shout out to my Uncle Henry if he listens. Like this last week when I was up home, I was talking to him on the phone for a few minutes and I was talking to him about how he liked retiring. He's like, I'm not retired. I'm staying busy all the time. Like, what do I want to do? Sit in the porch?
Yeah.
Like, good point, man.
I think you got to keep your brain busy. I mean, that's what really shuts down a lot of guys.
Yes,
you got to keep the mind going.
Yeah,
right?
And with us, our bodies take such a beating over the years. Some trades worse than others, as we've admitted before.
Yep.
You got to stay involved doing something when you retire. I have a reasonable number. I don't think I'm going to be able to go at 55. I'm hoping before 60.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, 15 years for young people, listen, that sounds like a lot. It's not a lot of time to build up money.
Right. I mean, my rule of 85 hits at 59 and a half, but I'm still hoping to pull it at 55.
Right. Yeah. So for a lot of unions and companies have this sort of thing. What John's referring to is a lot of companies have a number that they pick that it's your years of service plus your age. And once you hit that number, you get full retirement, quote unquote. It always changes depending on your company and your local and things like that.
Right.
So anyways, that's what you're getting at. But that's 59 and a half. Man, going early ain't the end of the world.
No.
I know people want to get their full pay. I understand that that's what they want. They want to get all the retirement that they can. I totally understand. Just as an example, buddy, if you were simply retiring on Social Security benefits, which unfortunately many people will.
Yep.
Right now, for the average construction worker that spent their career working for a living, it's $1,907 a month.
Yeah, that's a kick in the dick, isn't it?
I mean, look, some people are making more, sure. And again, if you're listening and you're an apprentice, that sounds like $2,000 a month. Like, yeah, but what if you got a bill or two?
Yeah.
Right? And you have no bills, you have no responsibilities now. You're going to need way more than that, in my opinion.
Yep.
I'm not going to be able to live. I mean, I'll live out of a shoebox for $1,907, like a tent, wherever they'll let me park the motorcycle and not throw me out of places. Like, I'll be a vagrant for sure at $1,900 a month. There's no way I can live on that.
Right.
So given that, I mean, that's not that far above the poverty threshold, which is considered about $22,880.
Right.
That would be what you'd get at that $1,907 a month. The poverty threshold is $17,700.
Yep.
10,000. Okay, that's a third bigger, sure.
Yep.
But I mean, when you're talking about,
but nobody takes into effect the medical bills that you have as you age.
yeah, you no longer have health insurance.
Right.
Probably.
You're going Medicare, Medicaid, stuff like that. But you still have bills, medical bills that you have to attend to.
Absolutely.
Not everything's paid for. And then all the living, it gets stupid, and it gets stupid really fast. The way I see it is, if I get that bad where I can't live, I'm just taking a long walk on an icy lake.
So many people talk about it, right? But that's what we don't want here. That's why I want to bring it up today. So people don't just have a 3-year retirement and they're living off of Social Security and pension the rest of their life.
You can't do that.
You can't do that. Like, I've been making plans to hang them up lately. I'm a reasonable age. Like I said, I want to go before 60 if I'm lucky. And as a lot of people, I'd wish I had focused more on the future plan years ago for my retirement. Retirement planning and savings, obviously as young as possible, is the only likely path to a comfortable retirement. And we all say we're going to start, and a lot of us do, but most of us think about it too late.
Yep.
So,
no, I've been preaching that to my kids, and they're not even in the trades, and I don't think any of them are going to go into the trades, which is kind of a shame. But I've been telling every one of them, when they start working at 16, they're required to put 50% of their, because they have no bills, they're required to put 50% of it away for retirement.
sounds like a lot, buddy.
It is. But at the same time, they have no responsibilities or bills. They ain't spending their money.
At this point, that's true. That'd be unrealistic for somebody who's got day-to-day adult expenses. Sure. I understand.
16, 17, 18,
sure.
living at home.
Yeah. And if I can, man, before we get too far down the rabbit hole here, real quick disclaimer, everybody. All right. We are not giving you financial planning advice today. No, fuck no. We We are just looking at and talking about our financial planning history, when and how we got started and things like that. And we're just pointing out the importance and trying to highlight some of the areas that you might not be thinking about, or reinforcing the idea that start early, things will be better. But we're not giving financial planning advice. We're just reminding you of the importance of planning for your retirement. All right.
Yeah.
There's the biz.
Right. We have to throw that out there.
Yeah. Just so we're real clear here, right?
Yep.
So right now, it seems to me the biggest thing that I see with a lot of young people is wasting of money. And you were just talking about your kids, preaching to them 50%.
Yep.
At their age with limited bills, that seems like a reasonable number, right? But it's the wasting of money. It's the sacrifices that can be made. So like, look, prime example, right? Let's say you're a father or mother with 2 kids. You're going away for the weekend. You need a break. That turns into the travel to get there, the cost of whatever it is you're going to do. You're going hunting, you're fishing, you're golfing, you're whatever, casino.
Sure.
If you're really scary with your money.
Or brave.
Or brave with your money, right? You add all this stuff up, and all of a sudden, your weekend away was a couple grand.
Yep. Very quickly.
Or you sacrifice one of those a year, and that's a couple grand that now went into your retirement. Now, as a parent, I'm sure your reaction to that would be, yeah, but if I don't get away, I'm going to straggle one of these little bucks. Like, I understand the need of having time away, right?
Absolutely. I'm sitting here nodding my head
right,
like vigorously.
You
you're
gotta
100%,
go, right?
especially having kids.
So this will be interesting for the two of us, buddy, I think, because we have very different perspectives on not only how we're saving for retirement, but the bills we have in the meantime.
Mm-hmm.
How hard would it be for you to make some of the sacrifices necessary to make sure you put that money into your retirement and not piss it down the drain, as the case may be?
That's really hard to say. I have to back up a few years because,
please, yeah.
A couple decades ago, I would have looked at that going, yeah, no, that's not fucking happening. Now I have fully funded retirement plans every year.
Fully funded.
I max them out every year.
I'll be honest, man, you're doing better than I am.
So, and it's more about all those pay raises. Here's the problem that I see with a lot of young kids, and I'm going to dial in specifically into the trades because that's where we're about. What I see with a lot of these apprentices and stuff like that, and pulling up on job sites and stuff, you can always tell when the apprentice gets a fucking pay raise because they're rolling a brand new rig, right?
Something new.
Something new.
Yeah, you
right?
see it, yeah.
It's all like, okay, so I'm going to lean on people to tell the sacrifices that they need to make. The biggest one is the vehicle. Going into vehicle debt is it is a money suck.
For sure.
If I could tell you how much money I've spent on vehicles, my name has been on 27 different vehicle titles in my life. 27.
That's a lot of vehicles, buddy.
Right. So I understand vehicle debt very, very well. And now I'm rocking a truck that I've had since 2018, and I'm, hopefully it lasts me many more years.
Right, John's laughing at me here because I got my fingers in the air like a toddler trying to figure out how many vehicles I've had my name on. 6 or 7 tops.
6.
Right. And a handful of those are motorcycles. So
right. Well, there's that.
We don't really count those. But you bring it up, man. That's the thing. Like the toys, not just a truck, not just your car, whatever it is you want to drive.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Toys are a killer.
Boats, motorcycles.
Oh, right. Side by sides.
I understand, guys. We all, not even just guys, we all have to have our way out. We have to have our mental health, as we call it these days, the mental health break.
Right.
And especially with kids, you hit it dead on the nose a minute ago. There are times that you need to get the fuck away from the kids.
Oh, I'm sure.
Otherwise, you will hang them by their feet and just leave them to dry.
Right.
And we all need that. But the problem is you don't need the brand new shiny one.
Right. You can buy reasonable price versions of the thing that you need for your getaway, whatever that happens to be,
right,
without buying a brand new one. One thing I also saw too, I've been talking to a lot of people about this because as this episode came up in my head, I just started chatting with people about things, and it's a couple guys, shout out Joe K. Joe admitted, he said, it's not so much the toys as the fact that people will very often justify an overly needed toy, an overly expensive one. So, for example, a side-by-side so that you can plow your driveway.
Right.
Man, in this guy's case, look, Joe got 2 kids. Your kids could be shoveling your driveway, like, dude, like that. You didn't need it for that. You made that excuse so you could sell it to yourself and to your wife, and that's okay.
Mainly to the wife.
Mainly to the wife, probably, right? But again, even to yourself a little bit, justify, no, it's going to be so handy for all these extra things. Now, man, you want a side-by-side because you want to fucking bomb around the weekends. That's cool.
Right.
But these are the sort of things we're talking about. He could have certainly went out and found in his case, if he had to have a side-by-side, if he wanted that, he could have found a reasonably priced used one.
Mm-hmm.
And if he really wanted it for doing snow, well, he could have got a 4-wheeler or a used, rebuilt $500 snowblower that works like a charm.
Right.
These are the things we want to talk about, right?
Yeah.
And you bring it up and you hit it right on the head. We see it with the apprentices coming in, finally got a good pay raise, 4th year, 5th year. All of a sudden they got that truck. Man, what? You went out and bought a new truck? Like, I didn't have my first new truck until I was 33.
Right.
Hand-me-down vehicles, for the most part, my entire life.
Right.
But I also didn't go into debt over those things. So once I did start making a few bucks, I could put some of that aside. Now, I'm not as good as you. You said fully funded a little while ago. Mm-hmm. I'll be honest with everybody. I'm not fully funded. I'm 45 years old, folks, and I have to make sure I focus the next 12 to 14 years to make sure I can retire on the timeline I want. When if I had have made a few small sacrifices and maybe thought ahead a little bit, I would have a bit more breathing room than I have. I'm going to be fine.
Yep.
But man, if it was 10 years ago I had buckled down, I could sit back and put my arms behind my head and go, yeah, I'm in a great spot. And what John and I want to talk about today is getting to that great spot early.
Well, and at least planning for it, because you need to start young. I had a great conversation with my personal finance planner, and God bless my wife, for it was her finance planner before she was mine. And we've had the kids sit down with her too. And it's great to hear her talk to the kids. And my kids are 17, 19, and 22. And she's pretty much said the same thing to all of them. Hey, you know what? If you are able to start by putting $150 to $200 a month away for retirement now, you'll never have to put more than that in for the rest of your life, and you will be millionaires when you retire.
Right.
And I think that's the sacrifice that we're talking about. Yeah, you can take that. You can take that money, because at the end of the day, I know people that spend more than that on coffee, on eating out, like anything like that. Take that money and just stick it there. You need to actually make your money do something, or your money evaporates and disappears.
And since you say that, that's something I was going to bring up. So I'll bring it up a little early. Okay. So I just want to do some quick math to give anybody listening who's like, oh, I don't retire for another 30 years. I don't need to think about that yet. $2,000 a year over the next 15 years is a simple mathematics of... Oh, I was putting John on the spot, but he was looking at something else.
No, I'm trying to do some shit here.
Right.
My bad. Go ahead. Let's back up.
Yeah. So just real simple, okay? $2,000 a year, okay?
Yep.
If that's the next 15 years, that's $30,000, right?
Yeah.
If you got a very reasonable interest rate, which you can get right now, and again, we're not financial advisors, talk to a professional, but 3.5% isn't crazy. You can probably do much better than that. $31,050.
Yep.
Well, that's only $2,000 a year.
Right.
You can sacrifice $2,000 a year.
Yeah.
Even if you're living real close, you can find Starbucks you mentioned earlier, right? Not the toys. The biggest one somebody pointed out to me, and again, it was somebody else I was talking to, I don't remember who it was talking about the celebratory events. I just got the promotion at work, kid just graduated from here, all this. Other than the $200 steak dinner, which could be way more.
Yep.
If there's 5 or 6 years, that's $300, $400, no problem, at a nice place.
Oh, yeah.
When you can have the same family experience at home by going to the local noodle shop that you all love, letting the kids pick out whatever they want and all the appetizers and all that. You go home for $100, you still have your family moment. You saved all that. It's the intent is great. It's the ability to recognize that sacrifice and now go, okay, I'm going to go on light right now. And I'm going to transfer that few $100 I saved that I was going to and put that in my retirement fund.
Yep.
Being able to it's so easy to do stuff. You don't have to go to the bank anymore. You can do everything from the phone in your hand.
Right.
It's so easy, and people still aren't focusing on it enough.
And I think people need to not see it to begin with. Right.
That does help.
Now let's touch on this too. If your company that you're with has a company match 401k, free fucking money. If you don't take advantage of that, you need to be slapped, because 5% match, that's huge.
Yeah. Even if it was up to a certain percentage and then 3%. Stops. Great. Yeah.
Huge. That's money that you're leaving on the table, that you're walking away from. You're literally sticking your nose up in the air at it going, yeah, I don't need that. Dude, come on.
Yeah, there's so much money to be made there. Yeah, taking advantage of that. And then there's also the opposite of that. So if you've got a mortgage or you're thinking about buying a home anytime in the near future, again, we're going to say, if you can afford it, we're not going to say this a bunch of times. We're just reminding everybody, we're pointing out the issue, not giving financial advice. So you can find all the free calculators you want on the internet. Do the math on paying down either any loans you have, whether it's your vehicle or a home or anything like that, putting extra payments on, and saving the interest money that you would have paid on it by just putting a few extra bucks here and there. Every little bit counts. You can use those calculators for free on the internet to figure it out. Man, that's your money.
Right.
Fuck the bank. Don't give the bank that money. Take a few extra. Every nickel you save is your money you save. Like, don't let the bank steal that money. I worked in finance for years. I've said this before, kids. Don't let the bank take money that should be yours.
Yeah, the bank's there to make money, not save your money.
Yeah, they say they want to help you with retirement and all this, and sure they do. But if it costs them money to do that, or they made no money on it, they wouldn't do that. Right. They're in the business of making money. So it's okay for you to be in the business of figuring out ways to screw them out of every nickel that should be in your bank account and not on their interest payments.
Right.
Sorry for the rant. I'm really passionate about that one. That's all.
Right. No, and when it comes to retirement and stuff like that, if you have a goal, I mean, go ahead and set that goal of the time frame that you want to, and then base your retirement and the money that you set aside based on that.
Right.
Now, the problem that I see here with the retirement and the construction trades too, and I want to point out that we have an aging labor force.
Yeah,
right?
We've talked about it a lot. But
that average number is like, what, 42 now? The average
give
age?
Or take it.
Right? So now all of our retirees and everything like that, guys are they have to work longer. Just for the sake of, you know what, I have to do this in order to save this money because our economy fucking blows.
And it's hard to look at your financial plans when you get closer to retirement and you know, okay, yeah, I want to retire today, but 2 more years means an extra X number of dollars a month on my pay. I understand what they're getting at, but they are doing that now to pad their retirement or to get to retirement they're comfortable with. When, as I mentioned earlier, if you think about some of these things and you focus a little bit earlier in your life, you don't have to work the extra couple years at the end. You'll already be there.
Right.
Right. There's what I think is it's a real good sound financial strategy. It's kind of one that I've looked at for a while. It's called FIRE, simply Financial Independence and Early Retirement. It's all about the same things I was just saying. Sacrificing little stuff, making sure you're conscious of, okay, I saved a few bucks in this project. I'm now going to transfer that into my retirement. That money's gone. That's for later. Mm-hmm. It's all about doing that as you go and getting consistent at making sure you do it. It becomes part of your ritual. Right. Anytime you save a few bucks on something that you would have spent, squirrel it away, right?
Right.
I think anybody who's interested in that, check out financialsamurai.com. They detail it really well there about how to do it. But that's basically what that whole idea is about retiring early because you're financially independent enough that you don't have to rely on government programs.
Right.
We mentioned Social Security earlier. I know every generation says this, and it makes me laugh now that I'm getting to be an adult. You don't know Social Security is going to be there when you retire. Okay, I'm starting to get it a bit like, yeah. You can't bank on that, I guess.
No.
It's never gone away, as a lot of previous generations have concerned about, but now I understand the concern as I get older and go, well, I am kind of factoring that in. If that goes away, I'm shit out of luck.
Right.
Maybe don't assume the government is going to take care of you. And if you need any proof of that, well, look at how well they take care of people right now, vets and homeless and et cetera. But we're not a political podcast, we always say.
And we're not, you cannot count on somebody else to take care of it for you. You got to do it yourself. There's no replacing that at all.
Yeah, well, for sure, right? And yes, I didn't want to get into it too much, but a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to be fine. Bitcoin is going to save me. Like there's some woo-woo ideas out there on the same website. I just got to bring this up. It made me laugh. There's some things on the train wreck that is the internet that could appeal to people as far as financial strategies go. There's one called Ikigai. I hope I pronounce it right. Ikigai, Ikigai. Mm-hmm. It's pretty woo-woo. And I don't know if there's a better way for me to say that. They're giving themselves the idea that if you keep how would they say it here? You know what a Venn diagram is, John?
Yeah.
Okay, so all the overlapping circles of different things. So let me give it, for everybody listen, we'll put this up on socials. It's a 4-circle Venn diagram for this Ikigai.
Yep.
One circle is what you love. The next one is what you're good at. Next one is what you can be paid for. And then there's the one that what the world needs.
Right.
Right. So I'm just going to focus on the last two that I mentioned, what you can get paid for and what the world needs, because that's how we're going to make money, all of us, especially in construction, to retire.
Sure.
Between the two of those is what's called a vocation. For anybody old enough to remember vocational schools, that's the job that you can use as a career. A trade as a career, right? What they're saying is if you fall between the other ones, well, if it's what you love and what the world needs, well, that's your mission. If it's what you're good at and what you can get paid for, that's your profession. But this all comes together in the center is it's really woo-woo. They're basically telling you what you've heard from a million other people. Do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life.
Right. And so the Ikigai.
Right, I had to bring it up. It's funny to me.
Now, it's not super woo-woo because it is... it's a Japanese philosophy.
Right.
And it is referring to something that gives a person a sense of purpose or a reason for living.
Right. A reason for being is what, I'm not trying to disparage the Japanese culture or anything. Right. Yes. It means a reason for being.
Right.
Which, if you can have that in your career, great.
Look, we all want that in our career.
Sure.
Right?
I do. I have that in my career. I'm happy to say.
I don't.
At the moment.
Look, I've found more happiness bringing other things into my life rather than my career. I work to live. I don't live to work.
We've all heard that. That's important.
That's just how I function.
Hell yeah.
Like if I lose my job tomorrow, yes, I'm going to be sad. I will find something else. I was looking for a job when I found this one.
Yeah.
I'm good. Right.
I got you. While John and I take a quick coffee break during the episode, we want to take a minute to shout out this week's sponsor, Ashley S. You can find Ashley at Social Jargon on Instagram. Ashley supported our little podcast here from the Buy Us a Beer app on our website at isawpodcast.com. John and I would personally like to thank you for supporting this week's episode and helping this little podcast grow. If anyone else would like to help us out, you can find that widget, as I said, on our website at isawpodcast.com. And from all of us at the I Shower After Work podcast, thank you, Ashley. Well, all the point being was, buddy, like all of us, we still have some preconceived notions about things. So in my head, if I'm looking for a retirement professional, someone to give me advice, which John and I definitely both encourage everybody to do.
Yeah.
Find a professional who's good at their job and talk to people you know, because they will tell you if they're comfortable or not with a person. It's really the only way. You can't just walk into a bank at random and go, yeah, the person in the office can help me. You don't know what they're like.
No.
And I bring that up because when I looked at this Ikigai thing, I mean, I pictured a guy in a poncho and dreads giving me financial advice, not a person in a suit and tie in an office, right? So I couldn't look past this Venn diagram. I wrote it in my notes here so I wouldn't forget. It reminded me of a poster you'd see on the back door of like the guidance counselor's office in the 80s or 90s,
oh,
you know?
My God, 1,000%.
Right? How you're going to live, how you should live your career. Like that's what it looked like. It looked like to me like somebody just saying, here's what you should do. Right after they gave you your test and said, hey, you're going to be a plumber. Like,
right.
When back in the day, that was considered a bad thing.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to be an electrician, you're going to be a plumber, you should lay concrete. Like, no, those are great jobs now.
Right.
We've talked about that before.
Right.
So anyways, moving on by a little diatribe by myself there. Sorry.
You hit the head right on the fucking nail, man. Like you can't look at one of those
The
and go,
head on the nail. I'm going to assume you meant the nail on the head.
you hit the head on the nail.
Yeah, that you said it wrong twice. Let's try it the other way. Just for fun.
No,
Let's mix it up.
You can actually, if you think about that, like the head is on the nail, you hit the head right where you're supposed to.
I digress. You're right. I take it back. I was giving you shit for nothing. You're right. That could work.
This is how adults talk, children. Anyway.
I love it.
But no, it really does look like, I'm pretty sure actually our guidance counselor had that hanging up in his office at some point.
Something similar. That's why it reminded me of that.
1,000% remember
when you
that.
see this, when you see this on socials, folks, you know what I mean. Like this, if you're old enough to remember guidance counselor's office, I don't even know if they have those anymore.
But at the same time, I've never worked with a financial planner in a bank.
Okay.
The financial planners that I've had and the one that I have now, not associated with a bank.
Where did you find them?
They're actually part of an investment firms.
Oh, sure. Yeah. It doesn't have to be a bank, quote unquote, air quotes, right?
Right.
Yeah. Someone who specializes in especially retirement investments.
Right. But you also got to remember, and you can find good financial advisors kind of everywhere. Right. And even if you look at and they're all going to tell you the same, kind of along the same length. You need to financial plan. You need to budget. You need to structure your life. Don't live outside your means, for the love of fucking God,
right.
And include your retirement savings in your means.
You have to consider it a bill.
It is a bill.
Yeah, when I was working in finances, that's what I explained to everybody when I was back in the office, suit and tie days way back. It's a bill. Think about it like a bill. You have a $200 whatever bill every month. You have to budget for that.
Right. And yes, there's some flexibility when we get into hardships and stuff like that. That's something that you can let slide for a hot minute.
Certainly.
Right. If you find yourself on the bottom of the barrel, you can relax that and be like, okay, I can't really put that away this month. But the hard part is getting back into that habit. Sure. Once you let it go.
Yeah.
Right?
You get that extra few $100 or whatever month that you were squirreling away, and now you see it on the paycheck and go, wow, the bank account's building back up again. But is it?
Yeah. But you just need to adjust things. But you can, when you're looking at financial planning and stuff like that, you can find it in an investment firm, in a bank, but most of the time, your employer, even the union, you can find it. Non-union shops, you can find it. And it doesn't cost anything, right? You just take advantage of.
It's part of the employment package a lot of times. They want you to have a happy retirement because if they know you're feeling comfortable about the future, you're more likely to stay there. Most companies offer, you make a great point, buddy. Most companies offer something along those lines and for free. Right. You know what I mean? Like, why not take advantage of every free thing you can? Because, again, the financial planning firms, the banks, they certainly take a few bucks, a percentage. They got to make their cut, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So those are the things to think about, too. If you're working for a professional company, they have some sort of someone you can talk to or a service. You just have to ask the question. Right. And we don't.
Nobody does.
Man, I knew better. I worked in finance for a long time, and I knew better, and I still didn't go, as soon as I got into the union, start saving as much as I should. Now, I started. Right. But, again, like I admitted earlier, I got to focus a little these next 10, 12, 14 years to make sure I get to pull out on time. For retirement, that is. All jokes can be sent to Jason at isawpodcast.com. Sorry, buddy.
Just, one of our previous listeners commented, you like saying the word erection. But anyway, so.
Oh, that's it. I think it's funny. Anyways, go ahead.
But you also got to look at. I just lost my train of thought. Clearly, it was either not true or a lie.
It's funny how
it was true, but I can't remember where I was taking.
It's funny how that particular statement gets said in Canada as well. That's a universal thing. I forgot. It must be a lie. Do you guys also think that the smoke follows a liar at a campfire?
Absolutely.
Okay, I was just saying, off topic there, Fid.
Two different ways: smoke follows a liar, or smoke follows beauty. At the campfire.
Oh, that's you and your wife. You just trying to be fucking kiss ass. All right.
Hey, man.
I'm not buying any. Yeah, that's absolutely true. I'm not buying any of that, but I understand the effort. So anyways, we mentioned the financial professional. Like, look somebody up, find somebody, even if you start small. But Listen, start early, start often. It sounds so simple, but $5, $5 a payday is better than nothing.
Yes.
It'll grow slowly. And even if you start to see the slow growth, then you'll start to see some of the bigger growth later. And that might encourage you to make that 10, 15, 20, whatever it is. Start early, start often, if there's nothing else to be said from this episode.
My 17-year-old has $3,000 set aside for her retirement plan right now.
It's a start, man.
Like,
it's a start.
I have to open another bank account for her, but
well, dads are going to do what dads got to do, right?
We're going to fucking take care of it. And I think that's the other part that people realize. It's really hard when you're starting a family and you're starting it young, like I did, right? I had my first daughter when I was 20, and I was married and having 2 kids and married, living in the state that we were in. It was hard to make money to support the family and to be able to save anything, right? Because even as parents, you want to take your family on vacations. You want to go out during the summer. You want to take them camping. You want to get these kids the experiences that you want to pay for all the sports that they want to do. Give them everything, right?
Kids in sports, stay off the streets. Shout out to Shoresy on Hulu, folks.
Dude, that's the honest God truth. Idle hands do the devil's work. I heard that growing up all the time at home. And believe me, I had plenty of idle hands when I was a kid. Fucking, yeah.
Right.
Wasn't the greatest human on earth. But anyway, the ability to be able to save for retirement, starting a family is 1,000 times harder because of all the added expense of a kid.
I completely admit I have a different perspective. I think it's part of what helps us out, buddy, that you have a different family life than I do. I understand. Yes, it's real easy for me to say, oh yeah, sure, you got no kids. It's real easy to do that. It's certainly easier for my spouse and I to make some of these adjustments with no sports, no vacations, with extra kids, all the extra expense that goes along with having a child.
Right.
But that's all the more reason, I think, to start small and start early so that when the time comes, you can retire at an early enough time to enjoy your potential grandkids or even just your children when they're older, if they have no kids, to be able to spend some time with them.
Right.
Yes, it does make it more difficult. I'm willing to completely admit that. I'm not trying to say it's easy. Nothing's easy. If it was easy, everybody did.
Right.
Right? There's a reason. Well, as an example, Yahoo Finance, okay?
Yahoo.
Yahoo.
Sorry, I had to.
Yeah, simple plug for them now. I don't even know if they use that anymore, right? Let's so from yahoofinance.com, under 35, the average percentage of people that have like their just median value of what they have saved, less than $19,000. You jump up to 35 to 44, that's your age bracket, $45,000. Okay, that's 61% of people have at least that or better. That's not a gigantic number.
No.
Let's jump up a little bit. If you get to 55, 64, fortunately, you notice I skip right by my age bracket there.
Right.
$185,000. And if you get to the 75 plus group, $130,000. That's not a big number to retire on, especially when, if I look back real quick on those numbers, that 45,000 the 35 to 45 age bracket, only 61.5% of people have that.
Wow.
Okay. That's 38.5% of people
crazy.
Who have basically no
Nothing.
savings, right?
No.
And I only say no savings because, again, there'll be some younger people listening who will go, oh my God, you got $45,000. You're great. No, you're not. If one of the appliances goes,
right.
If all of a sudden you find out your roof on your house is screwed,
right.
A health scare comes up. Even if you don't pass away, even something that sucks into your savings, you have health insurance maybe, great. But you still have to pay the copays, and that's still a percentage of what you had. And if that's $1 million bill because you got some terrible, strange, random disease, that could suck every bit of your savings right out the door, and all of a sudden you're screwed.
Right.
I only bring that up for the big picture of most people are in a really bad spot already. And hopefully if you're listening today, you take at least 5 minutes later on, talk to your spouse or whoever, yourself, and look in the mirror and go, I could do more.
Right.
Because if you don't do it, well, then you're relying on basically Social Security to take care of you. And I don't know about
Good
you,
luck.
but I don't know a single person that works in that office, and I don't think they're worried about me.
No, they don't give two shits.
Right.
And that's the thing. Like, that's what I like about working with our financial planner is she knows us. We know her. We know what she's doing in her off time. Like, there's a level of trust that goes along with it because you are trusting them with your money, but you need to develop that. And I think you're right. It's a little scary when it comes to, it's been said that the average U.S. citizen is a $400 medical bill away from bankruptcy.
Not to mention, the average age of society is getting higher.
Oh yeah, we're living
because
longer.
we live longer, right?
Yep.
Which means, as you just pointed out, more medical bills for the average person.
Yep.
So sorry to step on you, buddy. Go ahead.
No, you're 100% right. And what sucks about that is now they're starting to adjust again, the retirement age for Social Security. They want to take it to 72.
Right.
Well, guess what, motherfucker? I'm probably going to be dead before then.
Oh, I certainly expect I will be, yes.
So they ain't got to worry about paying out for me.
Yeah, if my liver don't quit or the brakes don't fail on that motorcycle, I'll be amazed if I make it that far.
Right. And so it's one of those deals that you have to start planning for yourself. You have to take the minute. And it's a really hard conversation for a lot of couples to have, to sit down and be like, hey, you know what, instead of going out this month, can we sack that money away? Having the adult conversation. Because financial conversations between spouses are one of the worst things.
It's one of the worst, yeah.
But we need to change that because I've had both. I'm on marriage number 2. My first one was my practice.
Right.
So first one, shitty. Communication on finances. Second one, fantastic. I have more money now than I've ever had in my life.
Right. Look, dude, I can give you a prime example, okay? And look, I love going to the beach as much as everybody else, right? I could go to Mexico with my spouse this upcoming Christmas. I've got a brother and sister-in-law who love doing that every year. That's their Christmas.
Yep.
That's thousands of dollars.
Right.
It sucks to sit down with your spouse when they're excited about something and they think, and it would be legitimately fun and a good idea and a wonderful experience, but you need to balance those things out. I'm not saying never do that. You can't not live your whole life and then retire just so you can have a few bucks and maybe travel when you can hardly walk or whatever anymore, right?
And maybe still make it 12 months.
And maybe still make it 11 or 12 months, right? You still have to have the fun in the meantime. It's not what I'm saying. And it brings up something that we'll really quickly touch on here, okay? Also, shitty things happen. You can get an illness. You can have a serious injury. You can die.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This happens in any career. It could happen to any of us any day, but it's slightly more than average in the construction industry.
Yep.
I'm not going to give you the stats on that because they're bleak.
Yep.
But just as an example, a good article from Blueprint that was on the USAtoday.com. 30% of Americans say they still need life insurance.
Yeah.
So that's on an average. That's more than 100 million Americans. That's almost a third of everyone you meet that's either uninsured or significantly underinsured.
Yep.
That's the one that people really tend to not focus on. Some people, hey, I got my pension going. I put a few extra bucks every hourly paycheck. Good for you. That's what you got to do. But also, what happens if something drastic happens? Life insurance seems like something you're always going to get around to. I will admit, I am part of that percentage that's underinsured. I'm not uninsured. I have life insurance, but man, if something happens to me, my wife could use more than what I got her set up with.
Oh, you're 100% right. I think I'm underinsured on that one when it comes to life insurance. We got a pretty good policy, but it's not going to leave. Once bills are paid, not leaving a whole lot.
Well, it's something that's it's a direct indicator of the economy. And again, we don't talk politics on here, but we can talk economy all we want. Just to give you an example, between 2011 and 2023, women have always been better about having life insurance, which is really strange
100%.
because men tend to die more unexpectedly and regularly than females do.
Yeah, but do the females have the life insurance on the guys?
I was going to, you fucking beat me to it. I was going to bring it up. There's also probably some squirrely stuff going on with that. That's true.
I have life insurance on my husband.
Look, if my spouse came to me tomorrow and said, sign this, and had a 30-page document with all the little stickies on it where you have to sign an initial. And I'm like, what's this for? It's the life insurance policy I'm taking out on you. I'd have some questions later, but I'd sign that.
Yeah. I would check the coverage for any kind of like arsenic or anything first,
but
then sign it.
Yeah, right. But
Yeah.
I'm probably signing that, right? So I agree. That is probably the reason the ladies happen to be a little higher. But the percentage of people who had life insurance, for women, it went from 67% down to 55% between 2011 and 2023. Because it was an easy sacrifice for a lot of people to make.
It is.
Because it's not cheap. So, and men went from 61% down to 49%. Both of those numbers climbed up in the last year.
Good.
That's a good sign. I think people are seeing what's going on out there with inflation, things like that, and realizing they have to protect themselves. That is trending back in the right direction. But that says it right there that not being able to, or I shouldn't say not being able to, knowing that when you make a sacrifice, well, I can't keep that insurance policy because that's $100 a month. And God help you if you're like John and I and smoke.
Right.
I mean, as soon as they ask the word cigarette, they just start writing extra zeros.
Yep.
On what it's going to cost you every month or year.
Yep.
So I'm not saying don't smoke, but it costs you more for life insurance.
That's going to cost you a ton.
So a little diatribe there. Also something really to think about, the protection of your family, especially if you have kids. I say I'm underinsured, but I know that if something were to happen to me, my spouse, the bills we have, which are very, very limited, they just evaporate. It's enough to cover all that and put my ass in the ground and let her take a trip or two to forget about me over a year and find a hopefully husband with a bunch of money for her second one. Her non-practice one, as you call it, the first one to practice. My wife's on her practice marriage. She's going to do much better next time. On the person she chooses, not her marriage. Our marriage is great. Not to be confused with what I'm saying there. But stuff like that. I mean, there's so much to think about, and it's really easy for people busy day to day or who have a busy family or are young and don't understand these things to just go, I'm going to worry about that later. Mm-hmm. Man, later's right now.
Right.
If you listen to nothing else, later is right now. Start planning. You're not going to get any younger.
Right.
Every single day. The timeline is shorter and shorter and shorter. And if you don't want to retire when you're 65 and half crippled over and hoping to get the 11 months that John talked about out of your retirement, you didn't work your whole life to do that.
Right.
Pay yourself now for the benefit later.
Yeah. I think, listening to us talk here, Jason, I think a lot of it that we're talking about is finding balance. We have to find balance between taking care of future selves, right? And enjoying now selves.
Right.
Like you have to enjoy your life. You have to enjoy what you're doing, or at least relatively enough to be good enough at it to get paid decently.
Oh yeah, you don't got to jump out of bed every morning going, thank God, man, I get to be an electrician again today. Woo! Like, no, you don't have to do that. Nobody's doing that.
No, I'm climbing out of bed going, fuck.
Here we go again.
Right? All right. So... But I still do relatively kind of enjoy my job.
Oh, I like my career, but I'm not literally jumping out of bed.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time is we need to always remember that even if you're single and you're kind of doing things on your own, you can get away with a lot less, right? You still want to be able, dude, I can tell you right now, if I was single, right, and I never had kids, never got married, and I was just living solo life, I'd probably already be retired.
I'd be coming up on it real quick.
Real fast.
I'd be coming up on it real quick, yeah.
Real fast. But if you're Jeff Borka, he missed his mark. He wanted to be retired by the time he was 37. He didn't make it.
Who's that?
Jeff Borka, my coworker.
Oh, okay. Shout out,
Borka.
Jeff. Shout out, Jeff.
Maybe you'll make 40.
37's an aggressive number. Good on you, buddy. You're a better man than I if you even get close.
I can't remember what he said. He said he wanted to be retired by the time he was 37 and dead by the time he was 45 or something like that. I don't know.
All right. So he's just got fucking crazy ideas.
Right.
Still shout out, buddy, but man.
Good dude. Funny. But if we take ourselves, you have to be able to, if you've got a spouse or a spouse and children depending on you, and this is only referring to life insurance, you need to be able, and I'm happy to hear that your bills evaporate with you. You have to be able to make sure that your spouse is comfortable after you die. You need to be able to make that life insurance policy big enough to make sure that all of your bills are dead. Your spouse is taken care of. She can take the time to grieve that they need to, he or she. They need to be able to take that time off from work. Bills are paid. Everything's covered. Your ass is in the ground. Your kids, same thing. They need to be able to take the time off from work, because I'm assuming that your kids are probably going to be adults when you die.
Hopefully, yeah.
They need to be able to take the time off. They need to be able to pay their bills, and take care of themselves. They don't need, your life insurance policy don't need to leave your kids $1 million fucking dollars.
Right.
They need to be able to get on with their life and just make things a little easier during that transition period, in my opinion.
I know, and I love your opinion. So let me retort to that, because I have a really male perspective here, but everybody forgive me for a split second. Okay. I'm a male, so I'm going to talk to the men, but this is male or female. It doesn't matter, but I'm a man, so it'll be my perspective. Okay. Have enough life insurance so that you can sit back on a Friday night with your spouse sitting across there, or your kids, if you have kids, across the dinner table, and feel comfortable and confident to go, if something tragic happens to me tomorrow, I took care of them. Be a man. Have enough protection as a man to know that you can feel that little bit of comfort to know I've got my family covered if something terrible happens to me. They're not going to be rich, but they're not going to have any worries.
Right.
Think of what you have for bills, or even what you might have for future bills if you're a young person. Think mortgages got to go, cars got to go, any maybe credit card debt or whatever you got. Think about covering all the debts so that if something tragic happens to you, at least your spouse doesn't have the concern of, well, what am I going to do about the mortgage now? Because I had all that paid. No, you cover that stuff so that they have a clean slate. Right. Be a man. Cover your responsibilities and protect your family. That's what I'm going to say.
Right. And I think, just to reiterate, that a different language is not only just to be a man, not to make sure that they're comfortable, but it's about making sure that you're not a burden on them when you're done.
Right. Yeah. They already got that. Yes. You say it in a much more concise and pleasant way than I did. Right. Yeah. Yes. Sorry.
Don't be a burden on the people you leave behind.
Yeah. They already got enough to deal with. Take our case. All right. I just barbecued myself by accident on a job site. They already got enough to deal with.
Yep.
You don't want them worried about all the other stuff.
Right.
All right. So John and I think, have ranted about this long enough now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You weren't expecting enough. Yeah. You weren't expecting a financial abuse finger wag today from us, but we just wanted to make sure everybody at least had the chance to go, okay, maybe it's important. Think about this enough, and it's important, as John said. So one last thing before I go, and then we'll have some sum ups here, John, if you've got any ideas. One last thing that somebody mentioned to me, and then I heard it on another podcast, which I'm pretty sure was Joe Rogan, but I don't remember for sure, because I listen to that a lot. I'm sure a lot of you do too. We talked very early on in this episode, and I forgot to bring this point up. I just want to hit it real quick before we finish here, about the sacrifices. Did you need the brand new toy? Did you need that? Okay. Someone said, when you're thinking about these big purchases, whatever it is, but one that's unnecessary but fun, something you're going to use for a good time. You want a snowmobile, you want a motorcycle, whatever it is. Could you afford two? And when the person said that, as at John's face right now, I wish we had video sometimes.
A little squinty here.
A little squinty thinking about what I just said. Yes. If you can afford one, okay, you've got the financial means to get that or whatever. But if you had two, all of a sudden that'd be a huge issue, right? That's, in my mind, was a good way to think about some of these big purchases. Do you have the flexibility? Yes, you can afford to get X because you want to have X. But if all of a sudden you had two, would that break you? And if that's the case, if you can't afford two, can you really afford the first one?
Right. No, that's a good point.
Because lots of people are dealing with that. Yeah. Oh no, I looked at my finances. I can afford to have this. Yeah, but what if you lose $300 or $400 a month because you had to go to a different company and you're making less money, or this and that, or another bill comes up that you didn't expect, and now all of a sudden, when I heard it said, it really resonated with me. So when you're making these purchases, when I'm talking about sacrifices, and John and I were at the start of this episode, when you're buying something, think, could you afford 2 of them?
Right.
Because you don't know what the future bills will be. Anyways, that's just a throwback to the start of this episode.
No, that's good. That's good. That's a cool little deal there.
I didn't want to miss that. So tell me what I'm missing here, buddy. Start early, start often. Okay. That one's crucial. Consider life insurance.
Absolutely.
Strongly consider life insurance to protect the people you love without a burden, as you said.
For sure.
Okay? And just as a real quick reminder, everybody, John and I are not financial professionals, and we weren't giving financial advice. We were reminding you that these things are important and you should think about them early as you possibly can so you can retire at a comfortable time. But John and I are not giving financial planning advice. All right. We said it twice just to protect ourselves. What else am I missing, buddy, that was important parts of this?
A little bit goes a long ways, right?
Yeah, good call. Yeah,
put in a little bit. It ain't got to be a ton. You don't have to max anything out. Just start small, work up. Take that. Oh, hey, I got $1 raise this year after my performance review. Take that buck and throw it in the fucking bank. Like, throw it in the savings, throw it in your retirement. Like, don't even imagine that you had it. Just put it away. A little bit goes a long way.
Picture the old change jar or bucket that people used to have, right? Where all of a sudden you take it in like, oh man, I had $117 in that. Yeah, that's your retirement, only not sitting in your counter at home. That's your bank financial future retirement.
Right.
That's not the play money when you realize, I threw all my change in this thing. When I took it to the Coinstar, I had enough to go buy the plants we wanted for the house or whatever it is. You make a good point, buddy. And
one more point I heard it said, and this is what I'm personally shooting for, is I'm trying to reach a point of fuck off money.
Yeah, fuck you money is crucial.
Fuck you money.
I want to get fuck you money too.
So, and it's not billions and trillions of fucking dollars. It's enough for me to be like, oh, you telling me I have to do that? Nah, fuck you. That's the goal that I'm shooting for, and that's where my retirement hopefully will be.
I like your thinking, buddy. That's kind of where I'm at. So anyways, thank you everybody for listening today. We really appreciate it. As always, you can find us on all the socials at ISAW Podcast on Instagram, but please check out our website, isawpodcast.com. That's where you can find the Buy Us a Beer widget if you decide you want to help out this little growing podcast. This is a free weekly podcast John and I put out. We're happy to do it, but any way you want to show us love, that's probably the easiest way. And as always, please keep all the comments and suggestions coming. We've got a couple episodes coming up soon that were suggested by our members, or I should say our followers. We will be happy to do that with you too, as long as it's something we're interested to talk about. But those are the easiest ways to find us. Please keep on interacting. John and I couldn't be more happy with how everyone has been reaching out and supporting us. We're literally blown away. So we just want to say thank you one last time to everybody. And unless I'm missing anything, John, what do we always tell the people?
We tell our people to get a hold of us by our phone number too.
I forgot. Go ahead.
507-607 ISAW. That's 507-607-4729.
Thank God John is here to keep me straight, folks.
But other than that, my brother, it's your work keeps the world working, and you just can't sum it up better than that.
That's why we use it as our motto. Thank you, everybody. Be safe out there this week, and we will see you next time.
Slanja.
Slanja.